Today we begin the chapter of gravitational fields and universal law of gravitation. First of all, the definition of gravitational field. Gravitational field of an object or planet is the region around it in which it will attract or pull other objects towards itself. We know that Earth attracts us towards itself because we are in its gravitational field. Same is the case with Moon and the artificial satellites. The Earth attracts them towards itself and they remain in their orbits around the Earth. All the planets and the Sun in our solar system stay in their orbits due to universal gravitational forces. That means that they attract each other and they are attracted by each other. So, there is a law of universal gravitation given to us by Isaac Newton, which states every object attracts another object with a gravitational force which is directly proportional to product of two masses or objects or heavenly bodies and inversely proportional to the square of distance between their centers. Let us suppose a smaller object, one of mass m1, and a larger object, 2, of mass m2, and they are at a distance of r meter from each other. Remember, the distance between their centers is r. Then the universal law of gravitation says that the force is directly proportional to product of the two masses. So we are going to write down F is proportional to m1 multiplied by m2. And it also says inversely proportional to the square of distance between their centers. So we are going to write down F is proportional to 1 over r square, that is inversely proportional. So we can write by combining the previous two equations, we can write F is proportional to m1 multiplied by m2 divided by r square. Now to change the proportionality sign into equality, we have to put in a constant. That constant is capital G and it is called the universal gravitational constant and its value is 6.67 into 10 power minus 11 per kg meter cube per second square. How do we get the units of universal gravitational constant? In the formula F is equal to G m1 m2 over r square, we make G the subject of the formula and we get G is equal to Fr square over m1 m2. We put in the units. The unit of F is Newton and R square is going to be meter square and m1 and m2 are kgs. So they multiplied will give us kg square. Newton is kg meter per second square. So when we simplify that, we get per kg meter cube per second square. This is a method to find out the unit of any physical quantity. If you forget the units, you make that physical quantity the subject of the formula, put in the base units, and you will be able to find the units of that physical quantity in terms of base units. Now, when we have this capital G, and we also have a small g, that is the gravity of the earth, we can find out a relation between small g and capital G. On the surface of the earth, I have shown in the diagram, the green diagram, which is depicted as Earth, and on the surface of the Earth, I've shown a unit mass of mass small m. The mass of the Earth is concentrated on its center, so we can take the Earth has a point mass as well. Now we know that W is equal to mg, and we know W is the force with which the Earth attracts everything that is in its gravitational field and on the surface. And we have read F is equal to G m1 m2 over r square. Here m1 is mass of Earth and m2 is small m, so we put in the values, and the distance between mass of Earth, that is center of Earth, and the small m is the radius of the Earth, so I have put that as capital R, and we get a formula F is equal to G me m over r square. Now weight and the force with which the Earth attracts the mass are equal, so we can equate mg equal to G me m over r square. Small m gets cancelled and we get a formula which gives us the relation between small g and capital G, which is small g is equal to capital G me over r square, where me is mass of Earth. We can apply this formula to other planets as well. And what we have to do is in place of gravity of the Earth, we are going to put gravity of that planet, and mass of Earth, we put mass of that planet, and radius of Earth, we put radius of that planet, and we've got that formula Gp is equal to G mp over rp whole square. Now we also have another concept that on the surface of the Earth our weight is mg, because g is 9.81 or 10 meter per second square, and we also know that gravity reduces as an object gains altitude in the uh, gravity of the Earth. So variation of g with height from surface of the Earth can be explained in such a manner that I have taken the Earth and then I have moved the object of mass m from the surface of the Earth to a height small h, so that the distance between the center of the Earth and the mass has now become r plus h. So r plus h can also be written as small r. Now we apply the same formula, the formula of relation between g and capital G, small g and capital G. So we have gravity at that height will be equal to g multiplied with mass of Earth divided by r plus h whole square, and we'll be able to find the gravity value at any height from the Earth now with the help of this formula. Two masses interacting with each other, we have already done it, so there is no need to explain it here. Now we talk about Earth and Sun and so on. Instead of other masses, we are going to take mass of Earth and mass of Sun and the distance between the centers, of the square of the distance between the centers of the Earth and Sun, and we will be able to find the attractive forces of gravitation between Earth and Sun. Mind you, these are if the Sun attracts the Earth with a with a gravitational force, then to follow the third law of motion, the Earth is also attracting it with the same force. We go to next page and we discuss the case of Sun, Earth and Moon. I have shown a lunar eclipse in which the Earth is in between the Sun and the Moon will be in the shadow of the Earth. And we are going to find the equations for resultant force on Moon Can you see that resultant force on moon will be because of sun and earth, and the direction of both the forces will be in one direction, that is leftwards, so they are going to be added. So resultant force on moon will be equal to F sun plus F earth, and we put in the formula to find the total force. Now, in this lunar eclipse, resultant force on Earth will will be the difference between the forces of Sun on Earth and force of Moon on Earth. So we put in the formula, and there is a solar eclipse as well. So in solar eclipse, Moon comes in between the Sun and the Earth, and the shadow of the Moon falls on Earth. So this is called solar eclipse, and moon also hides the sun behind it while we are looking at it from the earth. The resultant force on earth is going to be force of the sun and force of the moon on earth, and resultant on moon is going to be force of sun on moon minus the force of earth on moon.